Hi, my name is Emma Brundage. I am a sophomore studying finance, and I currently serve as the cohort representative for the Business Scholars Program. The position that I'm applying for is the Vice President of Continuity and Community. I want this role because of the chance to do community building initiatives within the Business Scholars Program, from current students to alumni to community outreach. I see the opportunity to get involved and make a community impact. I'm also very passionate about mentorship and community building. I currently serve as a mentor for the Business Scholars Program, but also Fisher First, and I've grown a lot from that, and I've learned about the value of mentorship. I also am a volunteer and mentor for Bold Girl Collective, where I mentor young girls and learn about their community and how to get involved in their community outside of Ohio State. I've also learned about the importance of just getting involved and stepping outside of your comfort zone, and I feel like I can use that in this role just to be more involved in the Ohio State community and plan events within the Ohio State and Fisher community, and find a way to plan events within the Columbus community. I would also, with my experience as the Vice President of Events and Planning for the Business Law Association, I've learned how to effectively plan things and work with other members on the team to create effective events that a lot of students would like to come to. And my role as the campus ambassador for the Princeton Review, I do a lot of outreach, whether that's flyers or sending emails, so I feel like I could also use that in this role. For the other role I'm applying to, the Vice President of Engagement, I can use my experiences here, my experience as a social chair of NABA, where I did do a lot of events related to just business and accounting students. Also, for the same role I talked about before, the Vice President of Events and Planning for the Business Law Association, I could use that experience here. Also, for overseeing in this role, with the experience that I have with event coordination and volunteering, I could use that to help the event coordinator and volunteer coordinator plan whatever they like to do, and use my resources and connections and assistance to make sure that they feel supported and that they are doing good events for the business scholars. My strengths and weaknesses are, first, my strength is time management. I have learned, as someone that's involved in a lot of clubs and organizations and programs at Ohio State, I have learned how to manage my time well and also make sure that I'm able to complete my schoolwork on time while having time to do the things that I enjoy, which are being involved in clubs. How I do that is creating calendars, putting all my stuff on calendars, also setting reminders on my phone so I don't forget to go anywhere, and then also using a planner just to write things down ahead of time just so it's in my head. This has worked pretty well for me. If I am in like a busy week where I have a lot to do, I will just do my work on weekends so that during the week I can have more time to do stuff that I like, which are my clubs or personal time. One of my weaknesses is I take on too many responsibilities. I really like to be involved in a lot of clubs and organizations, and sometimes I tend to do more. I try to do more than I might be able to handle, but I have learned how to not do this anymore. I've learned how to pick the stuff that is most important to me and the stuff that fits into my schedule the best and make sure that I pursue those. And maybe for the other stuff, I just become a member and just go to the clubs when I have time, but I don't take on too many strong responsibilities that will get in the way of my school or anything else that I'm in. For how I would handle conflict between VPs on the council, I would handle that by listening to them and making sure both sides feel heard. During the summer and my internship as an intern to Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury, 2 interns in my office had a conflict about the correct way to write a legislative memo. This conflict arose with one of them thinking that their way was correct, while the other one thought that their way was the more correct way, and this led to a dispute that went on for a little more than a day, and I decided to step in, and what I did was I listened to both their ideas and listened to how they both thought the memo should be written, and I made sure that both of them felt heard and there was no blame, and I let them share what was bothering them. I also went ahead and thought that the best thing to do was to find out the correct way to write the memo, just to settle it once and for all. And when I found out, I shared with them, not in a way that made them feel like they weren't smart, they didn't know exactly what was right. I shared with them in a way that made them feel like they were both correct in a way. They just might have been missing something. And I shared that now that they know how to do it correctly, maybe they should work together to do it, just since they know now to be good practice for them, and that ended up working out. They ended up doing it together, and the conflict never really came up again. And that's what I would use in the Business Scholars Leadership Council between other VPs. I would just make sure no one is feeling blamed and that everyone feels listened to. For specific changes that I would bring to the Business Scholars Leadership Council, first, I would bring the idea of when we do events to do those during the week, Monday through Thursday, preferably, because that's when most students feel like coming to events and have the most time to do events, especially because it's hard on weekends if students might go home or they might have other plans and it's hard to fit in other requirements into their weekend. So I feel like if we did stuff during the week and try to keep it the same place. We usually do stuff at Mason, so I think we should keep most things at Mason unless we can't use that space because a lot of students like it and it's really close to Blackburn where the business scholars live. In my specific position, I will initiate these changes by making sure that the events are planned on certain days. And another change that I would bring within this position is partnering with more Fisher programs. I know we already partner with the honors, business honors, but I think we should also partner with some other programs like Fisher First and Project Thrive and maybe some of the clubs in business in Fisher just to make our events reach a larger crowd. And there's a lot of people that are interested in the stuff that we're doing, so it would make it so they could come, but also the business scholars could get to know other students in business they wouldn't have a chance to be around or they might not share classes with. And it would make it so maybe we could do more and there could be way more events because we're partnering with other programs. And how I'd make that possible is just by emailing, reaching out to people. And I have a pretty good connection with some of the other people in some of the other business programs, so I could use that to also make sure that we can do stuff with them. Also, a change that I would do is to do more volunteer events. I feel like a lot of the volunteer events that we do are great and we should do more. I feel like a lot of students would like that, especially since students have to get their volunteer hours their first year. I have a lot of ideas for volunteer events, and one idea that I have is to maybe go somewhere and volunteer together as a group somewhere off campus for students that are interested. One idea of an organization that we can volunteer with is JA in a Day, where we go to a school and we teach them about personal finance. And I did that before with my other business programs, and it was a great opportunity. And for the students that are interested in finance and personal finance, it's a great learning opportunity. And it's also good for students to learn how to work as a team and plan those events, plan those lessons for students, but also get to see what it's like to go to a Columbus school. One contribution that I'm most proud of this year is the support that I provided to Asia and shaping communications and helping determine which events would best serve business scholar students, as well as students in other programs. I feel like I learned a lot from this role, just about what events are feasible and what opportunities we can have. And also I learned how to work under Asia, and I also learned what skills would be best for me coming into the Business Scholars Leadership Council and what skills make me an adequate member of the team. And even though what I did was small, more behind the scenes, I feel like I really did make an impact and I did learn a lot. And I'm excited to continue my skills. And thank you so much for your time and consideration.